Today we're hunting a farm just outside of Wayland, and we just seen a bunch of deer run off of that ledge right there, and they came from that way, went down across the cornfield into those other woods, and some are in the cornfield eating. So yeah, I'm shooting a Beretta 390 Ducks Unlimited Edition with a Hastings rifled barrel, and it's shooting 2 3/4 inch Lyman deer slugs. So yeah, I got a Simmons scope on it, and so I got a story to tell you. This morning, I came and sat on my log with my gun, and if you see that tree out there, see right there, that tree, right? That black one right there. If you see with that curved log, that curved branch, well, there was big buck standing by her this morning. I mean, he had a drop tine or two, and I seen him duck his head down to bend over. And so I went, Bert, stuck his head up, looked at me, took a shot, and, well, didn't get too lucky. I shaved his belly. The hair went clean off of it. I found out that I was, he jumped right when I shot. He was an old buck, so he's had experience at this before. When he heard the shotgun go off, he jumped so he wouldn't get hit. Pretty much basically what happened. We chased him down for like 200 yards. Or, maybe 2 hours worth. And found hair all over the place, but it wasn't bloody. And so we could not find him anywhere. Followed his tracks and seen that he was eating acorns on the ground. So, we just left because we made a lot of noise. Now we're back. And, yeah. So I'm gonna turn on it's about 4:06 p.m. Shooting hours are end at 5:06 p.m. And, got my buddy Kurt Ryder over there. And we're gonna deer hunt all day long. So, we've been deer hunting all day long, pretty much, for the last 2 weekends. This is the last day of deer season. And, here we go. He's gonna blow our Team OrangeHorn deer call. Darn, that sounds good. Gonna call in some big bucks with that. We've already called in several with them. Oh, now it's time for the Team OrangeHorn custom rattling antlers. They fit in your pocket. And yeah, them sound good. He's pretty good at it. So, we're gonna get a deer in here. Okay. Gotta get the Beretta fired up. Shoot a few rounds through her if we see any. Here's something coming over the ridge. I'm gonna, I guess I'll just set down the phone and get ready for some action. some action tonight because there's about 40 deer yesterday that came out about 5 o'clock last night. We didn't shoot once. We got something coming over the ridge there. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but...
Hi guys, Kurt with Team OrangeHorn here. We're trying to finish up our second shotgun season here in Iowa, southeast Iowa. I just wanted to take a minute. You'll see in a clip before this or right after here, however we edit it, but Owen will have a clip in here of me doing a calling sequence. What I want to say is, got back to the truck here and I can talk a little, but these calls, these Team OrangeHorn calls just never fail to amaze me. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about why. We live in southeast Iowa. Our factory where we produce all of these products, Team OrangeHorn products, and taxidermy mounts and kits and etc. We build them for a lot of different companies, and we have our own line of products. And our line of products is just flat incredible. It's not what everybody else's is. It's different. They operate different. They sound different. We're bringing effective, full-featured, full-value calls to the market. And you'll see in a clip that Owen's going to put up in here how they just sound natural in the woods. So anyways, guys, we sat down, and on our way in, we were met with about 40 deer. There's a little lay of the land. There's one ridge right down the middle that we walk in on. Off of that, there's 3 big deep valleys, ditches, that run down to a creek in the bottom. Well, we were walking in and somebody started shooting on property next to it, and all of these deer just come running up the hill in every ditch. And I'll bet there was 40 deer. And we didn't even have time to shoot. We didn't first know what was going on because we were just, walking into our stand. And then by the time we figured it all out and got, it all happened so fast. And by the time we figured it all out, they were all running away at a pretty good clip. And so we didn't want to take any shots and mess anything up for anybody. Or for any, to go sit and maybe hope they'd filter back in. But, so anyways, we go sit down, and I always say as a general rule of thumb, you never start calling right away. You want to let the woods die down, get back to a natural setting before you made all the noise. So, a good rule of thumb is when you start seeing squirrels move around, and you start hearing them bark and play again, that's a pretty good sign that all's clear in the timber. And that's usually when I open up my calling, situations, presentations. One thing I do want to mention, you'll always notice I tuck my deer call in under my armpit when I start calling. There's a reason for that. I'm going to share that reason. You don't know when you walk in, even after seeing all those deer, if there's something laying in a ditch 20 feet from you. You have no idea. Okay? So if you come in and you blow loud and you just give it right out there, you're going to scare things away. Deer aren't that loud. They just are not that loud. They're very vocal. They talk a lot. And in the timber, they talk a lot. Deer are not quiet. They're kind of like, dogs in the neighborhood, they bark a lot. Deer back and forth, they're always making noise and vocalizing, and they do communicate. And so that's why calls work. But when you start, you want to tuck that in under your armpit and make it quiet. You want to do that for your first sequence, and then give it 5 minutes and see if anything's moving or if you hear anything moving. And you might just surprise yourself with what you see. Now, we have all of this pressure in southeast Iowa. There's guns going off everywhere. And, there's a lot of deer that are harvested in the first and second shotgun seasons in Iowa. Lots of hunters take to the field, and there's a lot of deer harvested. There's a lot of deer pushed around. The reason that it amazes me with calls is because after all that pressure and the deer being spooked, they're not in their normal sleeping patterns. And, guys, we sat down here. We gave it probably 15 minutes. The timber, we started seeing squirrels move, started calling. Not 5 minutes after I called on the deer call, one sequence, I kicked a limb, you'll see, to act like two deer fighting, and they crashed a limb. You want to stomp on the ground a little bit. Different things like that while you're calling. And I can get more in detail with that later, but you'll see that 5 minutes after I'd done that calling sequence, there was 3 deer on a ridge 50 yards from me through all this timber, and they ran this logging trail clear around a ditch, and they weren't one bit scared. They came into that call. There was 3 does and 1 little buck, and we won't take shots that aren't ethical. We already have deer in the freezer from archery season, so we're not pressed for meat, but we do love deer meat, and our family eats it very well. And given a good presentation, we'll take a deer. But we would like to, make good shots and not wound a bunch of them. So I passed on those, but I just wanted to take a minute. You'll see that calling sequence, and I just wanted to take a minute and just point out that, it doesn't matter what the hunting pressure is. Even if you're in public land and you see other hunters, stop, take your time, sit down, let the wilderness relax, and then do some calling. You might be surprised what is there. Some of the biggest bucks I've ever killed, and I've shot some pretty good deer, but out of all the big bucks I've ever killed, most of them were either, one of them I stopped to take a break while I was hiking through the timber, overlooking a big valley, big ditch, probably 50 feet down. There was a pile of tree limbs and stuff in a big pile where a dozer had pushed it in. I stood there for probably 5 minutes, and when I picked up my gun and stood back up, this big old buck started sliding down the hill out from underneath that brush pile, and I shot him right there. But that just goes to show you don't know if these deer are 10 feet from you, if they're 100 feet from you. You don't know where they're at. They live in some of the nastiest, gnarliest places to hide. And, you just have to sit down, take some breathers, let the timber relax, so to speak. And basically that deer was spooked. I've had other deer where you sit down and you do that and you'll call, and they'll come stand and look at you 40, 50 yards away, just stand there looking at you and give you a perfect shot. So it's very incredible, very neat. And these calls, you need to pick up some Team OrangeHorn products. Go to www.teamoranghorn.com. These products are tried, true, they work, they're very effective, they're very neat, and they're not like any other on the market. We try to help people learn how to better prepare themselves, how to better call and see more animals. And our calls are tuned to help that effect. And so most of our products have no buttons to push to change from buck, dominant buck to doe. It's very effective. Do it with one finger on the call, and it's just where you put it. And so there's nothing to fail. Last thing you want to do is hike a mile or two into the woods and then get there and your darn call's broke or it's froze up or ain't working right. I've had some where you go blow on them and the things will squeal, sound like a rabbit when it's supposed to be a deer. So, guys, these calls work. Very effective. This was just a short little clip just to show, some of that presentation. And I wanted to explain a little about it because you have to start soft. So, thanks for being with me. There'll be a lot more to come. Thank you.
Big deer. I don't care if it's a doe or buck. I just need to fill my tag this year. I could have filled my tag already. About 3 times, but I guess I've messed up those chances. And poor old Barry over there. He hasn't shot once. Except for a doe earlier. And yeah. But we missed the doe after about 8 shots. And we missed her.